All right. Attorney Lambert, we cannot sue pharmaceutical companies for any malpractice, as it's my understanding of the law. They have some sort of, they lobbied a while back. Um, so we can't sue Big Farm for any malpractice as related to vaccinations specifically. What would you? So you're a civil trial attorney.
Hmm.
Is that so? You would just hang up on me? Like, I guess so, right? Hey, my tongue got super big and they put me in the prone position. You know what I'm saying? And I'm that guy. Big ups. I don't mean to be like that, but I'm saying if I'm that guy and I'm calling you and it's like, man, well, if you're saying it's as a result of the vaccination and they're automatically protected.
Well, so first, it would be something more akin to a product liability claim that you'd be looking to bring, as opposed to a malpractice claim. Um,
Yes.
but on a
Yes.
practical, the way that product liability works is that you've got to be able to show that that there's negligent conduct that was engaged in, and if there are added, like if there's an added obligation that you're placed under where you've got to show willful and wanton conduct, for example, then you have to meet those thresholds. In this scenario, I think I wouldn't be surprised if you see, years later, catastrophic results that come from the inoculations that the pharmaceutical companies absolutely knew about and could be proven to have known about, that you'd see litigation. But you're not likely to see litigation that will come and be successful in close proximity to now. You
Hmm.
have to see some
Hmm.
sort of gross, um, you know, um,
Large data. Yes. Yes.
efforts to try and hide,
Yeah.
the
20,000 people with the big tongue. Now that's something that you can't, right? Then that's right. Is that what you're saying? It have to be
like
more
for example,
victims?
if a newborn, or not a newborn, but let's say a 15-year-old kid or 13-year-old kid were to find out that they were sterile because of the vaccine,
Okay.
and it was absolutely known and could be established that it was well known throughout the industry that these inoculations were going to cause that sort of thing,
And there
then
could be okay.
the probabilities are that you would see litigation. Now, whether or not that litigation would be successful or not, that would be a different question altogether, right? Because you can bring cases all you want to, whether you'll find success is a different thing.
But as far as you know, there's no tort or no laws that's been written that protects them from their negligence, them being the pharmaceutical companies.
So, I don't, to be honest with you, I don't know. I don't know whether or not there's any sort of immunities that have been assigned to them that protect them or preclude litigation against them.
Yeah.
I know that in certain states, medical providers who are lending care uh, to patients cannot be sued unless, again, you're able to show willful and wanton conduct. That's the conscious disregard for the safety of others, right? You
Correct.
show that it was virtually intentional, that the actions.
Right. Like you're trying to kill people. Right. 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 Okay. Okay. I got what you're saying. Yeah. Anything else to on that brother Lambert?
I just, I think that, in most of these instances, I like to think that people have been trying to do their very best to help, and there are going to be some outlier scenarios, but the greater good, I think, is being served, hopefully.
Okay. Appreciate that. This is for anyone. Anyone can chime in on this, any and all. Have you heard anything about minor students being encouraged to get the corona vax, without parental consent?
No, I haven't heard of that at all. No.
Okay. All right. Um, Viruses don't intend to kill its host. At least that's my understanding of it. Um, won't vaccinations over the timeline of human history, this process of, the vaccinations create a super killer bug?
Well, it's the same principle about overuse of antibiotics.
Correct.
Again, bacteria and these organisms are live, living organisms, and they respond to their environments and change in order to increase their survivability. So you're correct. Theoretically, you might produce this being, but in the interim, what other option do you have? You know, and so you just follow along and you try to control the infection as much as you can. You know, so and obviously, let's look at it this way: measles is still around, right? So over the timeline of vaccinating the population for measles, what you've done now is you still have the virus out there, but because we have the antibodies, that virus cannot access the host. So that is in fact what you're trying to do with any vaccine, is you're trying to minimize the exposure of the host to the pathogen. So you may have a super killer out there, or you may have a situation where the virus can no longer access the host.
Anyone else?
No, that's good.
Okay. All right. Well, we can jump to the next. Thanks, Dr. Gay. Are viruses, and this was, we kind of touched on this earlier, we said to save it. Are viruses living organisms? And anyone can chime in on that.
Dr. Honore?
I call it a living microorganism. I guess it is a living microorganism. It is. I mean, it's an organism. That's the bottom line. It's tiny, but it is an organism.
All right. Okay. Anyone else? Anyone else want to answer? You know, is it life? No one? Okay. All right. If I've had COVID in the past, am I immune, or if not, would there be any defenses built up, and how long would that last?
We don't. The real truth is we do not know. You will have no. Some people don't mount a strong antibody response. That is the funny thing. Some people have had COVID-19 documented positive test after positive test, but in the long term, their antibodies levels were so low that they didn't even mount a strong antibody response. Most people do, but some people did not when they tested blood tests of antibodies. So
they don't produce a flood of the antibodies that could just be.
From what I was reading, it seems like there's something inherent with the COVID itself, the virus itself, that suppresses the immune response. They're seeing something in the virus. They don't know for sure, but they're postulating that there's something in the coronavirus that helps suppress the immune response too.
That sounds like HIV.
It's kind of bad. I mean, it's not, but they think it's something in there, some type of transmitter in there that's signaling the body not to mount a strong response. But some people who do have antibodies, I had it for months. I had antibodies for months. I'd say I had antibodies 4 or 5 months after I actually had coronavirus infection. But the issue is we don't know how long the antibody is going to last. We know that the vaccines cause a very strong and overwhelming immune response, like a waterfall, you know what I mean? Like a dam break instead of just a trickle of antibodies. You have a flood of antibodies. So that's why the vaccines are so important.
Okay. Anybody else? Anybody want to add to that? Shep, I don't think we can say damn on YouTube. He said a damn break. No, I'm just tripping, Shep. All right, let's see here. All right, we're getting close to the end. I appreciate your patience, brothers. Blank, and this is for all. Blank is the solution for COVID. I know that's broad. Blank is the solution for COVID.
Time.
Information and patience.
Time, information, and patience. Patience is on the lines of time.
And
steadfast vigilance and mitigation methods. Steadfast.
Did you say litigation?
Mitigation.
All right. Anyone else?
Understanding and proactivity.
Okay. All right. Pastor Stewart.
Here's the bottom line. Look, we need to use every bullet in the chamber, if you will, to try and overcome the problem. And when you hold back and you second guess and you prevent yourself from taking the steps necessary and using what's at your disposal, you're going to suffer the consequences. And that's what we do. That's what we're doing.
I respect that, man. Humans are so on this, so it probably doesn't have to get in it too deep, but humans are social / interactive creatures. Loneliness, depression, and other such factors can lower one's immune system, science has shown. So what are we doing? Like, you hear those, I don't want to make it political, but you hear the Donald Trampers. Why not just go out and enjoy life and sit on top of each other in bikinis and, and drink margaritas and turn up?
Because that destroys that is destructive to the population. We're in the middle of a public health crisis. And so you can go out and do that stuff, but you better wear a mask. That's the part about this that is so vexing for a huge part of our population.
Think of the psychology, Dr. Gay. You're talking about people who didn't even wear a mask when they stormed the Capitol, when they committed crimes. They had an opportunity to wear a mask and fit in where law enforcement wouldn't have. Yeah. But go ahead. So that's the psychology.
That's psychology.
That is deep.
But we're also talking a lot about, Cannon was talking about your individual rights shouldn't trump the greater good.
That's it.
Trump, no pun intended.
Everybody, see, here's the thing now. People talk about freedom, right? People talk about what that really means. Most people in America really don't understand what freedom means. It doesn't mean doing what you want every time you want to do it, when you want to do it. That's not freedom. And I tend to get a little bit frustrated because I think about our forefathers, maybe 2 generations ago, our parents, like my dad was in World War II. Do you think our population right now could deal with, I can't even get groceries, let alone I can't go to the movies and get my hair done. Think about the real sacrifices these folks did. And we're asking people just to wear a mask.
And these people are like, we want our country back. We want our country back, and we're going to have our country.
I mean, they were rubbing poop on the walls and didn't have a mask on. I'm just trying to say, y'all got to get into the psychology and talk about privilege.
I'm so glad they did wear their masks, and they let Zuckerberg put them in jail, because I'm a post and I'm trashing it. What a bunch of dummies.
We got to bring them back. We're going to bring them back for
into the Capitol.
Yeah, you got to come back on a whole nother show, Dr. Gay. We're going to do a show on what you're talking about.
That is very polar to me. I can't. That'll set off a whole new. That's a whole nother discussion, right?
It would. You're right. You're right.
I mean, no. Realistically, though, it's just like you said, like Cannon Lambert, and like Dr. Gay said, Cannon, that the greater good. People is just caught up, and they don't understand rights from survival, like
rights
life,
from reality.
Rights versus. Everybody, like I said, has a right to life, liberty, and a pursuit of happiness, but that's a whole nother ball game in that too. But what I'm saying is, for the greater good, people don't care about the greater good. They care about their own individual, how this affects how I feel.
Adolf Hitler said that the eradication of the Jewish was for the greater good, and the people bought into it. That's all. I just have to. I'm not saying it's applicable to this situation. Yeshua does not allow me to have stuff like that being said, because the Goyim are the ones who crucified him and spared Barabbas, and I have got to things out so that my people are not led into a herd over a mountain. But go ahead, Nope. You're the doctor and the professional and the rational thinker. You're the club. I'm the head doctor.
No. I agree. It's just like people are not just. It's not rights. It's not political. This is life or death. It's at the very basic. I'm just saying. But in this country, it's tied to politics and race and other issues, though. But
status.
Status. But
what this all comes down to, in many ways, to me, it just shows you the lack of critical thinking in our country, and the lack of critical thinking associated with poor emotional intelligence. And oftentimes, it's poor emotional intelligence that won't allow you to access your critical thinking skills. So we talk about these emotional terms like patriotism, freedom. These are all ambiguous emotional terms that people just got this emotional energy wrapped up in. And then you can't process information in the same way when you've been swept away by these emotional currents. So that's what we're dealing with in our country. Nobody talks about this, but to me, the response to what we're seeing in our politics and our response to COVID-19 and all that, it points to a real opportunity in our K through 12 system, which most people go through the K through 12 system. And we're not designed to teach the critical thinking skills, to teach people about logic traps, confirmation bias, all these different types of traps. And that's what we're finding ourselves wrapped up in. So, people say freedom, and we're talking about different things. Certain people believe that freedoms mean I'm free to do whatever I want to do, no matter who it affects. And that's the old Daniel Boone, this land, we can just take it, regardless if somebody's on it or not. I'm free to go take it. Or you got this sense of freedom that for us is quite literally freedom, like not having shackles, So these are different, and I'm free to be able to go to the grocery store without having to breathe your breath and you got COVID. Like, that's freedom for people. So I can't say enough about our lack of critical thinking skills around this and a whole host of other issues.
And this has really exposed it too. I mean, I think a lot of times, with this American exceptionalism and all of that, we really have tooted that horn a lot. And I'm glad that I live in this country and all of that. But this has truly exposed just how stupid some people in this country are, and how disorganized we are, and how unwilling to accept reality we are. And it's cost us. It really has cost us.
But in a sense,
theory. I did a video on it on TATN. Go ahead, seriously, and I'm not. You guys really need to watch it. Yeah, go ahead, Pastor Stewart.
But in a sincere way, Dr. Lambert and Dr. Conrad, because I know you got a Jewish doctorate. But anyway, in a sense, I want to emphasize the fact that is it really a lack of acknowledgement, or is it a Mario's mushroom Super Mario acknowledgement of what exists? And the mere fact of it is simple: white supremacy. We have finally ran into a head where the ability to be white and supreme has just about cost them their life, because the entire skepticism,
the greed is killing them.
The skepticism's height at which it affected white people was Vietnam at best.
Yep.
At best. Outside of that, there has never been universal legislation that has intentionally attacked or targeted a group of people at any given time that included them as well. And for the first time after Vietnam, now after this is F the system, man. And I mean, and it's been a slow snowball effect in the politic game to maintain white supremacy under a different color and under a different code. But the reality of it is clear. Every single thing since that time frame has been almost a degenerate version. After civil rights, then it was Vietnam. I mean, it was a snowball effect of political situations. So now they feel disenfranchised, and it's the Negro and the Mexican. And the reality of it is clear that if we are willing to say that it is posed racism, at best it is posed white supremacy. Yeah. Because at no point has racism's been a vehicle. White supremacy has always been the highway.
This nation was founded upon white supremacy and ingrained in the fabric of this nation, literally built on white supremacy.
Thugs.
It started this nation, but great point. It was perfected here. And I'll say these things. You guys are professionals, and we're here for stay on topic. All right.
My fault.
All right. Now listen. Here we go. I love you guys. All right. Now here we go.